Hi everybody, welcome back. Tony again with Shinsho Yoga, and this week I'd like to work on a posture called Dandasana or staff pose. Now Dandasana is more of a basic posture, not one of the more advanced postures, say like headstands or handstands or things like that, but of course always still carries its own challenges along with it. And one of the main challenges in Dandasana is really going to be how much you can relax your body. Dandasana, as it is called staff posture, and you're looking for this, you're going to have this kind of L shape in the posture, seated, legs long, upright, but we don't want to be stiff in the posture. That is the challenge of the pose, is can you relax in the posture? Much like samastiti, right, a balancing, a posture of rest and balance, right? Dandasana is going to have a similar mindset in that we want to be able to come into this posture and we want to be able to allow the muscles to relax into it, to let the body open. Because it's not a very active posture in that we're not going to be doing a whole lot of work in it, right? We're not going to be pushing down into it or pulling ourselves into anything. But it is going to require us to allow our body to relax, to allow the spine to expand, to be able to get the full benefit from the posture. So there are other challenges, though, that people will have with it, and I'll show you modification because everybody's body is different. And even though this may be a more simple posture, you may get into it and find it very hard. So if you are one of those people, I'll give you a modification for it. So not much more to talk about with it. I'll just get into it. So Dandasana, or staff, you're going to come to have a seat on your mat. Right? And you're going to want to take your legs long in front of you. You want them relatively close together. Don't let them splay out. Relatively close together, but they don't have to be zippered in tight. From there, you want to make sure that we have our feet semi-active, right? And what I mean by semi-active is you don't have to sit there with full dorsal flexion of the feet, of the ankles, right? But you also just don't want to let them lazily flop out. You want to keep them semi-active. Make sure that you are seated properly on your mat. So I will often do a little shuffle from side to side because sometimes when we sit down, maybe some flesh on our backside can build up on one side or the other. So I make sure I'm seated properly. From here, you want the spine long and the head lifted. Don't collapse into the shoulders. Don't lean back this way. Have the spine long, the head upright. And taking the hands behind us, right? Now, where your hands are going to go will depend on the length of your body. You'll see pictures of people right here with their arms right next to their sides of their bodies doing this. And then they're doing, depends on length of your arms. I have long arms. So if I put my hands on the sides of my body here, I'm going to be lifting myself off the ground. And we don't want to lift on this. So taking the hands, fingers pointing forward, come behind you here. You want to be able to have the arms straight, the chest to move forward, the head to lift. Allow the shoulders to relax as best as you can, right? You don't want to be collapsed in like this. You don't want to be out like this, right in between. And you breathe. And as you breathe in this posture, allow the muscles to relax. So you may notice as you're seated in the posture here, maybe you are really pushing here with the palms. So try to let that relax. Try to allow the structure of the posture to hold you without the muscles being overly active. This is not a very active posture. There's not much you're going to do with the way of the muscles of trying to make them work. You want to allow the muscles to somewhat just rest and let the structure of the posture do the work. So let the tailbone sink, let the crown lift, and breathe. Now, what does this access? This gets all along the back of the body here, up into the back and into the shoulders, right? But again, not being a heavily active posture, it's not going to be one that you're going to do when you're trying to necessarily open up the back of the body significantly. This is a lighter posture, and it's something that you're going to do more of to allow the muscles to balance in there versus actively trying to pull them open. Again, most postures we do in yoga are going to be somewhat passive. The majority of them aren't going to be where we're heavily getting into them. So, take that for what you will. Now, if you struggle with the posture at all, if coming to have that seat and bring the arms behind you finds you really struggling, pushing forward, or you're leaning all the way back, give yourself a lift. Grab a blanket. Right? Start with just, the single fold on it, as I would call it. Then have a seat on the blanket. Now, where you want to sit on the blanket is the first third of the blanket, so it offers you a bit of a pitch forward, right? You don't want to be sitting way back on it so it's kicking you back. You don't want to be sitting right at the edge so you're teetering. You want to sit on the first third of it so that it offers you just a bit of a pitch forward. Again, taking the legs long, the feet semi-active, and again, bringing the arms behind. Now with this one, if you have long arms like I do, like I'm just going to take up this slack in the blanket and bring my hands here. Because now I have a little bit of height, so I can actually move my hands a little bit closer up to my shoulders here. So now I'm relatively in line, right? The arms. But I'm able to use the blanket for the height, so I'm not lifting myself off the mat. And again, I want to just let the shoulders relax, let the arm muscles relax. And when I say by that is, if you're tensing them up, just breathe into them, as we say in yoga, and try to let them relax. And let the structure of the posture do the work. And breathe. If you're doing the posture properly, that's not easy to say. You should be able to relatively rest in it. And when we say rest in a posture, it doesn't mean that you're going to take a nap in it, but it's much like if you are familiar with pigeon posture, if you're done it and it's not overly challenging for you once you've been in it for a while and you've sunk into the posture, you can just stay in it, right? And allow the posture to do the work. Same thing with Dandasana here, even if you use the blanket or not. You should be able to get into that. And initially you come in and you'll be getting the shoulders up and pressing with the palms, and you're bringing the feet so they're like this. And then as you breathe, those shoulders stay forward, but let them drop. Letting the hands instead of like this. Letting those feet, when they're pulled back. So the structure of the posture supports you. And you'll feel that along the backside of the body. It's actually quite an interesting feeling when you're able to relax into the posture and just let the structure hold you. So, that's it for this week. Dandasana, more of a basic posture, but still challenging. And for those of you that have trouble accessing it, you have an option to use with the blanket. So as always, just breathe and follow your breath. And as the thoughts arise, acknowledge them, allow them to pass by, and return to the breath. Just over and over. Thanks for watching. Namaste.